It's the book of Micah, chapter 2, starting at verse 10, and it reads, Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sword destruction. I want to start off by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to God, Loyam, La Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem HaKadosh. Double honors to the elders and to the apostles that I learned this truth from. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Akwat out there listening and learning, Lord willingly. This is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad and land of other nations appear like the other nations. Subscribe to this truth to you. I say shalom. Brother Yahweh coming at you with a quick lesson through the Spirit, through the power of Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. Yahweh meaning He is, He exists, or He to be. By Hashem, by His end, His the ship His name, Yahushai, meaning He saves or He deliverer. True names of the Most High God and His Son. These people ignorantly call God and Jesus Christ, whose true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. Pretty much, this lesson is inspired by a video I came across. Wasn't aware of this. I see a brother went into it, but showing you just, a lot of our people, the scriptures talk about arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. A lot of people, scriptures talk about the men that settled on their leads. Scriptures talk about arise ye women that are at ease, because people think that, or 2/3 of the nation of Israel believe that they are a part of Esau society, where, because no matter what the accolades are, no matter who you are in the society, if you are so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Central Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, they have a perpetual hatred towards you. Because Ezekiel chapter 35 goes into that. I'm going to get it. I'm going to say fair use, fair use. I'm not profiting off of this. Just lining this up with, scriptures. Lord willing, this is edifying. And it's spiritual because of today is the Day of Atonement. The government shut down on the Day of Atonement. It's just showing you that the Lord's not going to heal this place. I went out on the highways and hedges yesterday, and typically I don't get a lot of people coming to speak to me or question. I have people more so listen, but it's very rare that somebody be bold enough to come talk to me. Because when I'm out there, I'm not really, I guess I would be considered the angry man. I gotta, sometimes I'm yelling, whatnot, because I'm yelling at the atrocities of this wicked ass place. It's spiritual. The spot I chose to camp at, I either camp across the street or no matter what side of the street I camp on, I'm usually directly across from each other. And just out of the blue, they just so happen to put signs up, some organization going into the atrocities that's happening in Gaza with the children. And, I even brought it out one time. It read, children in Gaza wish to die and go to heaven in order for them to eat. And this fucking cracker ass Edomite come and basically try to tell me that's propaganda and this and that and that. You know what I mean? It's everybody. You say Obama was really the one running the Biden administration, so he took it back to a color thing. But these people were so fucking funny. And then when he made a statement about Trump, and when I say that, I said, I wish I wouldn't even engage this guy, because if you think DJ Trump is for you, then yeah. You a MAGA or something. But like I explained to him, the Lord is not making America great again. That's in the book of Jeremiah. The Lord would have healed Babylon, but it will not be healed. So fair use, fair use. I'm not profiting off of this. I'm just lining scriptures up with what's being said in the video. Lord will is edified.
Terrence Crawford got pulled out of his car at gunpoint. And earlier in the day, he had got the keys to the city. And then later on that night, he gets pulled out at gunpoint. You can take mine off me right here on my right. I'm keeping my fucking hands up. I'm not reaching for no gun. Can I stepping out? It's a wake-up moment. You get the keys to the city, and then later on that night, you get pulled over at gunpoint, as though you are a hardened criminal. It just goes to show that no matter how high you get, they're going to remind you who you are. Terrence Crawford got pulled
And that's the truth, because it ain't like they don't know who he is. This is a moment he beat somebody that they felt wasn't going. Nobody thought. I wish I'd have put money on that fight too. I didn't even watch the fight. I could have watched the fight. I got streaming apps and whatnot, but I chose not to because there's so many things I missed out on before. You know what I mean? Like that ain't gonna hurt or kill me to miss that fucking fight. But from the highlights, I wish I would have watched it, and I had the opportunity to watch the fight actually. But I was like, I don't give a fuck. Anyhow, but it looked like a really good fight from the highlights that I saw. But nobody expected him to win. So trust and believe they knew exactly who he is. It wasn't like he was in a different state. He was in the state that gave him the city in which he got the keys to the city. And basically that goes back to showing you no matter where you're at in Esau society, especially if you consider it to be on a level, they going to show you, no, you're not. That's why, like the elder, I believe it was the elder, the beloved elder apostle that was the first one I heard how it was one of the elders. I can't remember which one, but it's one of the beloved elders. It was going into how the 300 was pretty much Jake's. So when you watch that movie, if they would have a cast of, Jake's, they wouldn't, what kind of vibration and energy and aura Jake would have had, if a nigga got self-esteem, or like I was listening to the video that the brother did about how the women around the world pretty much want Jake, they desire Jake, and if a 2/3 nigga got confidence, because they was talking about how a lot of men lack confidence, but niggas actually exude that. A nigga be proud at being a nigga. You know what I mean? A nigga have pride amongst himself on just being a nigga. So again, but that's the curses, you know what I mean? And you can't escape them, So I'm gonna play this one more time, and then I'm gonna bring out some scriptures.
Out of his car at gunpoint. And earlier in the day, he had got the keys to the city. And then later on that night, he gets pulled out at gunpoint.
I'm opening the door. You can take mine off right here on my right. I'm keeping my fucking hands up. I'm not reaching for no gun, bro. Step out. Can I move? Stepping out. Hands up.
See? It's a wake-up moment. You get the keys to the city, and then later on that night, you get pulled over at gunpoint, as though you are a hardened criminal. It just goes to show that no matter how high you get, they're going to remind you who you are. Terrence Crawford got pulled out.
Right, because of the perpetual hatred this devil has for, the children of Israel. The scriptures talk about, pretty much the wicked being created for the days of evil, It's the book of Ezekiel chapter 35, starting at verse 5, and it reads, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in their time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, power. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sith thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, which is the capital of Esau Edom, and cut off from it him that passeth out and him that returneth. And we seeing that take place now. This government shutdown is going to affect Jacob, but it's going to affect Esau Edom too. A lot of them federal workers are Edomites. And from what I was reading, it was said that pretty much this is a smooth way in order to pretty much fire a lot of these federal workers. And the cold part about it is, again, these federal workers, because they sign contracts, they got to work even if it's shut down. They got to work even though they're not going to get paid. I know certain functions of the government are still going to be paid. I believe unemployment because that's state, even though they get the funds from the federal government. What else? I think they said, certain like WIC and food stamps, they'll be paid out, but it might be a delay on it. On top of the fact, the government funds these programs. So when the money dries up, they might fund them for a while. But, I think they said certain state gets funds too. You got to remember, city, state, and the government, all taxes. That's why you got federal government. You pay, federal income taxes, you pay state taxes, and then you pay city taxes. So, these different things, the state will have funds, but the state doesn't have to choose to pay these things. That's just like during the last shutdown, with not the last shutdown, during CV, when everything was shut down. They literally, states had those federal funds where, you had a lot of states, like people was feeling like they was balling because of the fact they was getting unemployment. You might be getting $600 to $1,000 a week in unemployment. But Ohio didn't allow for the funds. They never released them in Ohio, and that's why they was trying to make the federal government. I mean, not the federal government. A federal judge tried to make DeWine basically release the money. So they just was sitting on the money, or whatever the fuck they did with the money. It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, and verse 14, and it reads, For here have we no continuous city, but we seek one to come. So, you're not in your rulership. Again, to show you how it's actually a testimony to how great Jake is. Even in these conditions, Jake can arise, but yet still these people, that hatred, you ever see the Edomite get angry? They turn beet red. Another testimony to show you who these people are. Because, scriptures, Idlewild, wasted away is he. His blood shows forth through his skin. And the scriptures talk about this devil coming out with great wrath, you know what I mean? And we see it, these devils make moves, the enemy within. It's only a matter of time when the Lord give this devil the green light. But like the beloved elder apostle was saying, I was listening to his video, he was saying how, it's a chess move. It's just, the Lord baiting their ass. Because he put it on their spirit to think that they invincible. And they, with all this going on, you see in this unexplained object traveling through space. You see all these different things going on, yet still, you see it, all this different stuff. They talk about, FAFO, you know what I mean? Well, the Lord gonna put you in a position for you to act, and that's gonna be, it's like boxing. You leave that jab out there too long, and that might be your ass, It's the book of Zephaniah chapter 1. In verse 12, and it shall come to pass at that time that I will search Jerusalem with candles and punish the men that are settled on their leaves, that say in their heart, the Lord Yahweh Bashem will not do good, neither will he do evil. I'm going to reread that in the NLT. I will search with ladders in Jerusalem's darkest corners to punish those who sit complacent in their sins. They think the Lord will do nothing to them, either good or bad, That's why, again, I'm in the spirit of saying, stay ready so you don't got to get ready, you know what I mean? This is not our rest. That man, they elevated that man because, again, that's a hell of an accomplishment what he did. You can't really take too much away from Canelo. The thing is, that's what I like the combat sports, because it ultimately boils down to one man is better than another. The scriptures tell you the Lord didn't make every man alike. You know, the Lord put something special in certain vessels because it's the Lord's workmanship. It's the Lord's, you know. And I was listening to a particular brother that's actually like a coppersmith. He's really good with his hands, and he said something. And it made me think about the Lord when he said, you know, being that he's a jeweler, he could create these different things with his hands. He said, you know, all great artists have favorite pieces, and it made me think of the Lord. You know, how is the saying? The elder spoke about the prophet is God's man. So yes, he made those particular vessels different from you know, the rest of humanity. You know, I always thought about that way. You know, when you think about when the Lord had the prophets go through specific situations. You know, I bring up Isaiah walking around butt naked, or Ezekiel having to watch his wife die and not mourn. Hosea having to marry a harlot. They were closer to the Heavenly Father because they actually had to understand they had to go through the ordeal of this is how the Lord felt at the time. Can you imagine that walking around? Isaiah probably looked at so bugged out. And you got to remember, I think Isaiah was around during the reign of like 4 different kings. So he had a long ministry. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 32. And starting at verse 9, rise up, you women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear to my speech. And it's spiritual because, again, a lot just happened recently, and now they shut down this government. So you might have a lot of people out of work, and again, it ain't like they furloughed where they'll come back. They just gonna lose their jobs. But then you got certain people that's gonna have to work for free. And it's the first, and these landlords ain't trying to hear you ain't got your job. They don't give a fuck about none of that. And it's cold too when you take time to think about it. Like if you lose your job like that, maybe they'll be able to apply for unemployment. But at the same time, unemployment is not set up to sustain millions of people being out of work. Verse 10, many days a year shall you be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. And that's spiritual because the vintage, which is this government, has failed. They failed to come to agreement. But you got to understand, both, like the elder brother was just saying, you got 2 sides to the same coin, you know, because it's controlled opposition, you know what I'm saying? You'll have the Republicans pass something, and then the Democrats get in office, and they overturn what was just passed by the Republicans. So, you know what I mean? Like, just like I was just telling this fucking Edomite, he up there, that was Biden. I mean, that was Obama. So I hear him with, well, who was the face of it? Like, you know how y'all like to do. Blame the face of it. That's it. Y'all put these people on forefront to actually have somebody to blame. Oh, you couldn't tell him nothing. DJ Trump, I said they erected the statue. He said that pretty much somebody did, but that was to make DJ Trump look bad. For what I see on the press, DJ Trump be trying to avoid the Epstein questions. These people are really up under a spell. You know what I'm saying? I had to leave him with that, though. I say, man, listen here. You must be back at her. I said, listen here. They not going to make America great again because thus saith the Bible. Then the motherfucker talking about, I got to go. But then he leave and come back. So go, nigga. Like, what the fuck? Verse 11. He want to bring up Ben Carson. I don't give a fuck about a Ben Carson. He might secretly be the Lord put a talent within him. You know, I know a tidbit about his history. You know, he had a temper, he was poor, and he basically overcame it got to, you know, that's the Lord was working with him to get him where he was. But at the same time, this is the same dude. You don't think he probably a Charleston White. You know, Charleston White snitched on the dude that they all did something together. This nigga snitched. Oh, no, I never respected him, but now I just really hate this nigga. That nigga literally set up there, committed a crime, told on the nigga that he did the crime with, and then now You know, it's funny too because, like I said again, now you got this culture of snitching. Like that's cool. Think about it. You got your 6ix9ines and your. I had a brother sit up there and say that, well, shit, they ain't really snitching. I say, damn, brother, for real. And this brother, got a background. I would have thought. I mean, and I get what they said. They try to say not to make this about them, but the thing is this: when you jump off the porch, it's certain rules that come with that. Now the thing is, if you're not in that lifestyle, then yeah, you're a civilian. So all that applies, calling the police, all that shit come with that. But when you call yourself jumping in the streets, literally, yeah, you take whatever the fuck come with that. Because like I said again, that old shit with 6ix9ine, they did this, they did that. But yeah, even what's the name brought that up? Yeah, but you seen the videos when they was going after these people, you was egging that on. You was with that. You was with the shits. You was with when y'all was beefing with these other rappers for attention. Me, myself, I believe that they set that dude up to take down that gang. That's what I think. This dude who paying 6ix9ine ain't making no music. 6ix9ine literally, but yet still they got him living in penthouse suites and still driving Ferraris and all. Like I said, that nigga remind me of like a Charleston White. This nigga just pop up out the blue and basically all his talking points. You trust this nigga logic more than what I mean. He said some shit about Mike Tyson. He said, oh, Mike Tyson is not a great philosophical debater, but I will respect Mike Tyson's, what Mike Tyson experienced more than I will respect you. Now, once you become a snitch, nigga, the fuck? Nigga, you an agent now? And he one of them individuals that, he like some of these politicians. Like I said, I believe he was set up again. You did all these, it's like one particular guy I'll be watching or listening to on YouTube. This dude been all these different professions. I've been a police officer. I've been a soldier. I've been a teacher. Nigga, when did you have time? What's that skit off of In Living Color where the Benjamites all had 15 jobs and shit? So I have 13 jobs. Nigga, you just did everything. Nigga, who got time to do that? That'd be like that police-ass government type shit. So hell no, I don't trust no Charleston White. That nigga's a demon. But he'll tell you, yeah, go get your money. Yeah, still, he'll tell you to trust in this place. Yeah, still the money about to get transferred over to a digital currency. Like I was speaking on in my live, I went into the digital ID. The thing is this, I did the research. I know for a fact Ohio got a digital ID, but when I looked it up, it said every state has basically complied with the requirements of the digital ID. They just haven't actually mandated it yet. But it's coming. We watched the Vintage fail when they failed to actually, agree on funding for the government. And the thing is, I'm going to show you what's cold about it. They still going to get paid because they did that last time. All those councilmen and all those politicians that failed to look out for their constituents, they're still going to get paid while these people is going to be suffering. DJ Trump said it's going to take 2 years of suffering because of his tariff strategy, which they talk about a judge talking about pretty much if they can they're in the process of seeing if they go overturn his tariff strategy because they said it was unconstitutional. And if that's overturned, then all that money has to be repaid. I forget how exactly much money they collected in tariffs, but they would have to already repay that, and they can't even fund the government now. So I hope none of this shit. I mean, like I said, people be like, you bugged out. But I mean, at the same time, why? See, the thing is, everybody talking about they love the Lord, they want the Lord to come back, but they don't understand what you got to. The scriptures talk about the straight gate. A path of difficulty is not going to be fun. You're going to have to give up comforts. You're going to have to give up shit. But do you still trust in the Lord? Now we're going to see the true believers. Verse 11, tremble ye women that are at ease, be troubled, ye careless ones, strip you and make you bare and gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vines. And these women are about to lament for the different perks of Babylon the Great. Nah, they ain't got no man, and they ain't got they government assistance. Because I've already seen it, you know what I mean? Like, that's one thing about when you in these programs and you forget to do something. I knew a female that I had met like last year. She pretty much lost her benefits, forgot to fill out some paperwork. She had so much trouble trying to get the benefits back. I don't know if she even got them back. This book of Lamentations chapter 13, it's like Lamentations chapter 3. It's the book of Lamentations chapter 4, verse 17, and it reads, As for us, our eyes as yet. As for us, Lamentations 4:17. As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us. They hunt our steps that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near, our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. You know, scriptures talk about woe to them that run out to Egypt for help. You know, curse be the man that trusteth in man, but blessed be the man that trusteth in Yahweh by Shem Yahushua. You know, and this devil again just showed you that by shutting down this government. And it's all by design again. It's funny. You got all these individuals, this Epstein thing that came back around, and watch how many people actually fall off the scent, forget about, what was the main issue? These is all, never let your left hand know what your right hand doing. You know what I mean? This is all misdirection. Book of Lamentations chapter 3. And verse 31, for the Lord will not cast off forever, but though he cause grief, yet will he have compassion according to the multitude of his mercies. That ain't what I wanted. Talks about, that's what he wanted, verse 22. Lamentations 3 and verse 22. It is of the Lord's, Yahweh Bashim Yahshua's mercies that we are not consumed because his compassions fail not. And although the Lord has brought this, the curses and judgment upon us, at the end of the day, it's not for our destruction. The thing is also that, like we had sipped the cup, the Lord is going to make this devil sip double. So he going to get this twice as hard. And you got to remember, Esau he ain't built for the punishment. You got to remember, Israel built up the nation, these cities, Jake built up the White House, Issachar tell you, we built up, California, you know what I mean? So they not gonna be, like the elder bro was just talking about. He said, shit, manifest destiny, well, let's see how funny it's gonna be or how fun when the rabbit got the gun. And remember, you gonna get this double. It's the book of Romans, chapter 13 and verse 11. And that knowing the time that now it is a high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believe. We see all these different things taking place, and we know that we measure the time with what's going on. We measure what's going on in the world with what's written in the scriptures, and we know that the end is near. Verse 12: the night is far spent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. So it's not getting better. It's not going to ever get better. This devil's not going to fully accept you because he has a perpetual hatred towards you. Or yeah, he'll make money off of you. He'll. That's cold too when you take the time to think about it. They lifted him up in one day. He probably over there depressed in the motherfucker. You know, that's like your woman put the most gangster head on you and do something to you. You like, oh, I love that woman. And then later that day, you catch this bitch with another dude type shit. That'll probably make your brain crack. You know what I mean? You ever see the cartoon or the image of the skull, the cracked skull? That skull, that ain't a regular skull. You know what I'm talking about? Something wrong with that one. You see some shit, your psyche just snap right there. They had this nigga with the keys to the city. You know, that Lil Durk had the keys to the city. P. Diddy had the keys to the city. The diddler. Called that nigga the diddler. Can't make this shit up. The diddler had the keys to the city. So like the particular brother, because he did a lesson on it, and something made me watch the lesson because how he titled it. And I already kind of figured he spoke on it. But it's cool, you know, sometimes, you know, I try not to do videos that I know other brothers did, but at the same time, you never know, you know. I try to do the ones that the Lord put on my spirit, you know. But, you know, like I don't know if that brother's an elder brother or not, but like that brother did, he said, we don't want the keys to your city. We don't want no keys to nothing. We don't want your recognition. We don't want what your, I'm trying to think of a word, but we don't want the recognition of Esau Edom, of what he considers great. We want, you know, approval from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. What's the scripture talking about? The Lord's going to say, good job, oh faithful servant. We want that recognition because we understand that we might have to, you know, leave everything behind. You know, and everything, like the scriptures talk about, everything here is corrupted. So, you know, why care for the praise of men? This is the book of Matthew chapter 10 and verse, I will start at verse 32, and it reads, whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess unto me. So like him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. Verse 34, the point. Think not that I have come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. You know, we at a time of division. The Lord is not, you know, that's spiritual too. It's showing you how spiritually this devil is feeling about Jake. They couldn't even get that dude that day. The mayor gave him the key to the city, and then later that day, the police chief, because listen, they knew exactly who he is. You know what I mean? They came to the car with guns drawn. Fuck around and find out, her nigga. And Terrence Crawford was calm and basically he said, no, I'm not doing nothing. You ain't about to kill me. So again, this is not your rest. If you're a so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the laws, to the statutes, and to the commandments of your power, whose true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, you will be destroyed. With that, I want to give all praise, all honor, all glory to Kol Loyim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Godash, double honors to the elders, to the apostles that taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so. Now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Aqua that they're listening and learning. Lord willing, this is edified. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations. Let's subscribe to this truth. To you, I say shalom. Till next time, Lord willing, shalom, shalom. Kwam Yasharallah, and Mawat Lababah. that fucking rag out. So with that, I'm going to end the lesson. I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Allah, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, double honors to the elders and to the apostles I learned this truth from. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Akwat out there listening and learning, Lord willing, this is edifying. Shalom to the black foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribing to this truth. To you, I say shalom. Until next time, Lord willing, shalom, shalom. Kwam Yasharallah, walk like a wall.